Hello and welcome wherever you're listening to and watching 2020 Coaching Convos. Passionately curious with me as usual, Julie Crabb. And I'm doing what I love, which is connecting with others by hosting conversations with guest coaches, as well as continuing my pursuit of learning. And in this series, we're hearing about the passions and interests of coaches, as that's what fires them up, what they're learning about, what they're exploring. And at the same time, it's a great opportunity to figure out what we want to learn from these passions for our own coaching practice. So this week, my guest is someone who I know as the Compass Coach, and who, in my personal opinion, is one of the most active members of the Coaching Catalysts group that we both belong to. And it's an easy bet to reckon that connection is one of their strongest values. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Tracey Croucher Clark.
Hi, Julie. How you doing? I'm excited to be here.
Good. I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. And I'm glad you're excited. Me too. Me too. So good to see you again. And ahead of us talking about passion, Tracey, I know that you've had quite a lot of experience of coaching, mentoring, training, and development experience. So maybe it'd be good to start with that. Tell us a little bit about how you came into coaching.
Yeah, I work for a big public sector organisation, and as well as I'm a frontline person, but as well as that, as a kind of bolt-on role, I'm a coach, mentor, kind of do inputs to the teams on team culture and things like that. And that all started about 15 years ago. So I've been doing coaching, mentoring for about 15 years, but I have to say that probably over the last 18 months, my learning and my self-awareness and all of that kind of stuff has just gone through the roof, because I started a qualification, life coaching qualification about 14 months ago. And it's been an amazing journey. I hit the magic button in the middle of November, and I can't wait now, I must admit. It's a lot of hard work, and for anyone who's out there doing qualifications in coaching, it's not easy. It is a great learning experience, and I've certainly learned loads, particularly over the last 14 months. So
Yeah,
that's where my journey is at the moment.
brilliant. And it's the coaching academy that you're training with, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
I'm doing the life coaching course at the moment, and then I've also signed up to do the coaching education, because one of my passions is to coach young people, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. Otherwise,
Yes.
I'll just talk about it anyway, even if we don't bring it up. So
Whether we want it or not. And I love what you were saying about the magic button because I can remember submitting my final assessment stuff on through that magic button too. It's a big moment. Yeah,
it
so
is a massive moment.
wishing you well for November. Okay,
Thank you.
that's really good. So coaching, mentoring, training and development. We've got about 15 minutes to satisfy curiosity about your passion today, Tracy. So you've mentioned children already. Could you introduce the passion that you want to share with listeners and viewers, just to tell us what you want to talk about today?
Yeah, so I think going right back to the beginning, I think it all started for me at school, or reflections around my schooling, really. Because when I was at school, I will never forget a conversation that one of the teachers had with me and my parents on one of those parents' evenings. And the teacher said, Tracy just needs to leave school as soon as possible. She's never going to amount to anything. Just get her married off. And obviously, that wasn't the only negative thing that was said to me at school, but that was the one that really stuck in my mind. I think the other one was that my sister's always been the academic one, and I've always been called the practical one. And I was one of my teachers, again, a different parent evening, kind of suggested that my sister would be the leader of a political party and I would be the leader of a local gang of hoodlums. So, so it really did show me the power of words, the power of negative words, and also the power of positive words. But words are so powerful that they stay with you like for me, for 40 odd years, when I was at school way back then when I was 15. And I just think, if someone at that point had sat me down and listened to me and said, what's going on for you? What's going on in your life? They may well have found that, being in a bit of a dodgy secondary school 40 odd years ago, I was struggling with the fact that I was gay, and I think at that point, it's not cool 40 years ago to be gay in any way, shape, or form. So it was really, really difficult. And I just think if someone had sat me down at that age and talked to me, listened to me, then they wouldn't have had the opinions that they had, and maybe they wouldn't have made the negative comments that have stayed with me for my life, really. Um, and that's what drew me into coaching. It's what drew me into what I do as a living, but it also what drew me into coaching. You know, young people especially have so many obstacles that they have to get over, from self-belief, confidence, self-awareness, self-esteem, all of those things that are really formative in those mid-teens, and massive obstacles really, if they're not given time to be listened to and to talk about those things. And that's what drew me into coaching, and what particularly draws me towards wanting to work with young people.
Wow, that's quite a story. Thank you so much for sharing that so honestly as well. And I think I was, as you were talking, I was thinking about labels and labeling and how strongly they stick to us, and the beliefs that go with them, as you said. Maybe maybe the beliefs serve a purpose at the time, but they don't. They hang around way longer than necessary, and get to a point where they don't serve us any longer, and it's time to shed them. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so yeah, young people, beliefs, education. Tell us how that kind of taps into the passion that you have.
Yeah, here we go. um, so, so my passion is really working with. So I volunteer for a charity. They are called Children Heard and Seen, and they basically support families and young people who have a parent in prison. So you can imagine the obstacles that are put in their way. The young people, the children have done nothing towards their parent being in prison, but they still get the stigma that's attached to that, and they get labelled as a bad person or a criminal, or some other negative label that's given to them, as we were talking about labels a moment ago. Um, and and again, it's just helping them to get over those obstacles. So really, the volunteering work that I do is really low key. I just talk to the kids, loads of coaching conversations, just having fun with them, so they building that rapport, building that trust, so that you can have that, listen to what they're saying, and have those conversations. I was having a conversation with we went pumpkin picking the other day, and I was having a conversation with one of the lads there, and he was saying, I could have said to him, "What do what's going on at school? What's how do you how's school?" And he would have kind of come back with yeah, it's all right. But I said to him, tell me what the best thing is about school. And then he started talking to me, because it's a nice open question. It's easy, isn't it? And he couldn't get away from talking about it to me, really. And he said cooking, and then we got on to talking about his passion for cooking, and then that led on to this big restaurant with his name above the door, and it was just lovely to see, his eyes sparkle, and the dream kind of come alive in his mind, in his imagination. And it's just through those kind of coaching conversations, that you can get over those obstacles.
Yes, yeah. Gosh, that's a charity that I hadn't heard of before, but that I'm keeping an eye out for now since you first mentioned it to me. And I can see the heard and seen piece, very much how that aligns with some of your own lived experience, but also the whole labeling thing too. And I was also thinking you said it's like having coaching conversations with the young people. And you mentioned trust and rapport and also open questions. What I trying to I don't have not coached young people particularly. What's different between coaching an adult and a young person?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, I think the I think the biggest thing is that young people are impressionable. So whatever you say to a young person, it's going to land with them possibly for a long, long time. If we go back to what things were said to me at school, that stayed with me for a long, 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 long time. It's still with me now, and it's only because I listened to those things in retrospect, said to myself, no, you don't know me. You only know me as a student. You don't know me as Tracey Croucher, who can achieve things, who can do things, who is good at stuff. Um, and and so I think the big difference between kids and adults is that kids will believe everything that you tell them, and they'll take it on board. So if it's negative, that could become an obstacle. But if it's positive, that can be an amazing opening of opportunities for them.
Mm, mm. And what a very positive influence you can have by volunteering for children. Heard and seen, isn't it? Heard and
That's
seen.
it.
I
Yeah,
keep wanting to say it the other way around, but heard and seen
I
too.
know.
Yeah. The other thing that occurred to me was the whole notion in coaching about meeting people where they are, one of the things I've been exploring in series two is some of the language we use around coaching. So if you're the pumpkin picking, there's kind of activities I've heard you talk about in the past about that you do with young people. How is that meeting them where they are in the way that you work with them?
Yeah, I mean that's really important, isn't it, to meet people where they are? And I think with young people, it's important to get involved in what it is that they're getting involved in. So this week we went to Ascot fireworks, which was again really amazing. It was great, and they had a fair ride there, and there was the horses were racing and stuff. It was a really good evening, and it is really about having conversations where they're not off guard, because that makes it sound like you're trying to trap them, but where they're more relaxed, and more open to talking about stuff. There was a young lad at the fireworks who was getting so excited about the fireworks, and it was just a great opportunity to get excited with him. And then afterwards, we talked about the fireworks, and we also talked about him, and it just opened up a conversation. And I think it's really, really is, like you say, about meeting people where they are. And with young people, I think it's just building that trust by mucking in, by
Mm,
wanting to be with them, wanting to have conversations, wanting to listen to them, genuinely wanting to be involved in what they're doing.
mm, yeah. So I'm hearing it's about a willingness to kind of share what they're doing and share their experiences and take opportunities to engage with them and build rapport with them through those things.
Yeah, and sharing a bit of yourself as well, because if I'm not willing to share anything of me, then why would they be willing to share anything of themselves? So it's
Mm,
really important to, make yourself vulnerable, really, and trust that they're not going to judge you. I'm not judging them, and in return, they don't judge me, and it's
yes,
you know it's a lovely two-way relationship.
yes. So what have you said? What a great experience you've had through the last few months of training with the Coaching Academy for your qualification. Is there anything that volunteering with children heard and seen has brought to your general coaching practice?
Oh yeah, lots really. Definitely the confidence to talk to complete strangers about stuff, about coaching in particular. I think the when you go through the coaching academy, they have wonderful Facebook groups and places to connect, and peer to peer training and loads of things that you can connect around with other coaches. Um, and I think that gives you a real massive skill in being able to go out into the world, and talk to complete strangers about absolutely anything, really. I went to again, children heard and seen, sorry, a bit obsessed at the moment. But we went to their 10th anniversary at the Houses of Parliament recently. And through being able to talk to anybody online, and I've met obviously coaches face to face and having conversations around coaching, it made it so much easier to walk into a room of complete strangers. And I could have stood by myself and just gone, oh, I'm a little bit shy, I can't do this. Or I could have just thought to myself, do you know what? This is a fantastic opportunity to talk about coaching and to meet different people. And I eyed up this couple that were sat in some seats, and I thought, right, you're my target. Went over and just introduced myself, and we ended up having a wonderful conversation. They mentor a couple of children with children heard and seen, and they were a lovely couple. And through them, we stood up around this little table and other people came over and joined in our conversation. And it was just, so I think a big thing that the coaching qualification has taught me is how to communicate with absolutely anybody about anything. And equally, what volunteering with children heard and seen has given me is the confidence to bring that back into coaching anybody, really. Just be building those relationships, not being afraid to make yourself vulnerable, not being afraid to share your story. Yeah. And as you said earlier, meeting people where they are.
Mm. Wow, I can hear you've got so much to say and so much more to say, Tracy. Unfortunately, we're coming towards the end of our time today. Can I ask you just three quick questions, please? Um, one of the things is about what you'd say is a particular success you've had in relation to your passion, in relation to children seen. No, I've done it again. Heard and
Heard and
seen.
seen. I know it's
Yes.
so difficult, isn't it? Because the phrase is children should be heard, not or seen, not heard, isn't it? Which is the
Yes.
whole point of the name of the charity, really.
Yeah.
Um, I think my biggest success, having given this incredible thought since we last spoke, is that apart from my gorgeous son, um, my biggest success is overcoming obstacles to achieve everything that I've wanted to achieve. Um, I'm not a millionaire by any stretch, but it's not about money. It's about so much more, really, enriching life, love, relationships, people. And I think that's my biggest success. I didn't let those obstacles beat me down. I jumped over them.
Mm, wow. That's amazing. And and is there anything beyond that? I mean, I'm taking quite a lot from that myself, but is there anything beyond that that you'd want fellow coaches who might be watching or listening to take away from your passion that they might apply to their own practice?
Yeah, it's one thing that I haven't mentioned throughout this whole thing really is authenticity. And I think it's so important, especially post COVID, probably, where a lot of our life has ended up online. It is so important to just be authentic, just be yourself, because people will see through you if you're not yourself. And one day you might meet someone in person and they'll go, whoa, who's this person? I've never met you before. So it's just incredibly important just to be yourself.
Yeah, brilliant advice. Brilliant tip. Thank you. It's more than a tip, isn't it? It's a way of living, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, and very lastly, but really importantly, Tracy, how can people reach you? How can they get hold of you?
Oh, well, there's the important thing, isn't it? So if I'm on LinkedIn, that's more not serious because nothing I do is particularly serious, but that's more the professional side. But if you want a bit of fun, then come and find me on Instagram. I'm on. It's all under the Compass Coach, and I'm sure if you put in Tracy Clark, you'd find me as well. But it's all under the Compass Coach. My email address is thecompasscoach@gmail.com. I don't have a website. All of it is done on LinkedIn. So go to LinkedIn, you'll see all of my coaching prices, all of my history, all of my backstory, all of my posts. Everything's on there, all in one nice place. So you don't have to dig around all over the place to find me.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you, Tracy. I'll make sure that we put both the link to children heard and seen
Excellent. Well done.
and your link. on the episode description too. So yeah, my enormous thanks to you, Tracey Croucher Clark, for sharing your passions, the Compass Coach. Yeah, sharing your passions on 2020 Coaching Convos. Really appreciate it today. And to 2020 Coaching Convos podcast followers, if you enjoyed this particular episode, go ahead and share it, please, widely and wildly, and subscribe to it. And tell me what you want to hear more about in 2020 Coaching Convos with me, Julie Crabb.